It turns out you're the CEO of Twitter, hypothetically. How would you make the company go profitable?
I think there's a path to doing that medium term and long term. Twitter is the original short form content, and it's really good at it. Now it's sort of being, competed away. TikTok and all. TikTok should immediately be banned, of course, right? And Twitter should bring back Vine. So there's things to do. But I think Twitter needs to fill its feeds with longer form products. Like I think Twitter needs to buy Substack. It should have built Substack. Substack should never be an independent business. Like obviously all these people posting on Twitter should be able to monetize newsletters right from in the platform. And I don't mean just the review feature that they had. It just was, that was kind of bolt on.
Wow, you should be the CEO.
And like, okay, so video, right? Twitter sucks as a video platform. And yet YouTube has no inherent social, sort of viral social network like Twitter does, right? So like, I think YouTube is very lucky that no one at Twitter for the past 5 years has cared about video.
Yeah, I think I just want to make another point here because there's a lot of different things that we could actually do here. I've been thinking about this as well. One, we have super chats on YouTube. Why can't you have super chats on Twitter? Allow 100%. Your comments and replies to be voted, just like Minds does. Mind does an incredible things. What is it called, Ian? Super Minds. Yeah. People are able to put in a super chat. If you answer it, you get that money that people were giving to you. That's a great thing that Minds developed. Another thing that I would recommend Twitter to do is to essentially allow the platform to run on its own without any kind of major money. Decentralize it. Let people host their own servers. Let people use the platform in their own way so then even if you don't have any money, the platform still lives on and people get to host their content and get to communicate with people and also be able to share their content elsewhere and move it around with their history of what they posted. I think those two ideas along with your idea would be amazing. Videos, long overdue. Monetize those videos. Have people, when we had Periscope on YouTube, Periscope on Twitter, this was a way that engaged so many different people, and then Twitter took it down because people were dominating it that they didn't like in the political ideas. So these are just some ideas that I have off the top of my head that I think Elon should listen to. Some people
sounds good.
Some people recommended that.
You take it.
I don't want the responsibility. Get that hot potato out of here.
One problem with videos is the cost of the servers, at least is what I'm told, and it is a big deal. And so we tried to decentralize it at Minds like BitChute, but it was so slow and grainy trying to pull it from all these other people. I don't know. Do you know much about decentralizing video feeds?
Not technically, although it's probably going to only get better and better, right? And I would look to add things that people want to pay for, right? Like Twitter needs, it's woefully dependent on advertising. I'm not saying advertising goes away, but it needs to certainly have new revenue streams where creators are getting paid for their content.
You know what I realized? I'm paying $8 a month for Twitter Blue. I am so happy to do that right now. I pay $40 a year or something on Minds to have the upgraded Minds. I'm not sure what it's called exactly. Sorry, Bill.
Minds Pro?
Minds Pro, to be on Minds Pro. And it's like having a Netflix. I don't have a Netflix account. I don't watch Disney. I don't have those accounts. I pay for the social networks that I love. That's where I like to. I would pay $15 a month on Twitter. For sure, for all those benefits, to be able to post long videos, to be able to make you a video, like @tag Elon Musk. Hey man, what's happening, bro? That access to the network.
Paid DMs, I think Elon talked about.
Totally, it's great. Twitter's made it really hard over the past few years for people to actually make a business on Twitter.
Yeah,
which is really weird.
I think
YouTube's done much better in this front.
Did you see they blocked link sharing recently and kind of backpedaled on it?
Link sharing?
There was like, you can't link to your other social media,
which is actually YouTube does the same thing. I believe Twitch does the same thing. I believe Facebook blocked Minds. Do they still block Minds?
Dude, Microsoft blocks Minds. It's very weird. Yeah,
so Elon announces this new policy where it's like you can't use Twitter to just promote other platforms and everyone loses their mind. And it's like YouTube's always had that rule.
So like if you made a video like subscribe to my Twitter account and that was the title of the video, they'd
nuke you. So here's what I'm saying. I think they mentioned paid DMs. I got a lot of people who hate me, and they'll pay a lot of money to say nasty things to me, and I will take their money. And they can, so $100, I will set my paid DMs at $100, and then all the people who hate me can say all the nasty things in the world, and I will monetize that.
And you have to respond. And then Twitter gets a small cut of it.
Well, I don't know about responding. Just fill up my mailbox. Well, I mean, like...
Well, people could do that now, right?
No, they can't DM me. I have closed DMs.
Okay.
So if he made paid direct messaging, I would say, okay, you want to direct message me, and I don't follow you, $100, and then you can send me whatever nasty garbage you want. You got to pay me to do it.
And then
monetize the hate.
But you don't have to read it? You got to read it to get the money. You got to open the email.
That's what I said.
I accept.
Right?
I accept. I will read the comment of someone saying, Pim Tool is a bald fool or something like that if it's $100.
So what about
totally worth it?
I brought this up before earlier.
Like
a
reverse
crypto,
OnlyFans.
like a crypto token at Twitter. Mines has a Mines token that's a utility token that functions on the network. You can put a token into the network to get 1,000 views of publicity. Then you can buy the tokens. And but I know, like you were saying earlier, like SEC violations you got to watch out for. Like Library got raked for SEC violations. I don't know the exact, but Mines didn't. So
the risk with the FEC is if they don't like your politics, well, hey, that token is a security.
And that's just arbitrary?
Elizabeth Warren could come up with some justification for why yours is different, but like the justification is she hates you and wants you crushed.
Yeah, if all it does is get you publicity on the network that it's sold on, and then maybe used for fun cosmetic stuff on the network, I just don't see any security involved in that. It's all utility at that point.
I think you're right.
But they'll argue it anyway.
Yeah.
So you got to
want to be on the other side of the FEC enforcement action.
Because I think that could take the company very profitable, or at least very, very, very profitable. I mean, obviously what would happen is the Twitter token would become super valuable and it would become traded on Binance and stuff. And then they might say, hey.
And then it's a security.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, punished with your own success.
But
it's interesting, though, to think how much they could raise if they did that.
And that's not even, that's just the IPO or the ICO you're talking about, initial coin offering that they could raise money for. I think then that might be a security, because Mines didn't do an ICO. That's a big part of it.
That's right.
They just make tokens and then sell them, and then you use them on the network. There's no public investment. The investment is you buy the token.
What do you think of the future, man? You feeling optimistic?
Not by default, but I'm not a doomer either. I really think it's contention. It matters what we do. And why wouldn't it? Like, human agency is really important. If you're too optimistic and like, oh, things will just work out, well, you're probably not going to work as hard in making that happen. And then if you're just fatalistic, oh man, it sucks. Oh, I just lost my election. That sucks. Everything's doomed. No, somehow that doesn't feel quite right either. It's like,
your mindset,
scary, but we got to work hard.
Your mindset and positivity does matter when it comes to your overall productivity and what you're able to do in life. But at the same time, you got to be realistic with all the problems. And I totally agree with you. You got to have a balance between the two, and have a certain level of basis in reality, but also some optimism on top of that.
You know what gave me a lot of optimism was the judge granting Carrie Lake's trial. I mean, because everything we've seen in the past has been dismissed. These judges have been weak and just, I don't want to deal with it. I'm not saying this judge is going to do the right thing in terms of, well, I'm not going to say the judge is going to give us what we want, but the fact that the trial happened at all, I think was a major step forward in terms of confidence. So I'm feeling good. I think the night is always darkest before the dawn. I think what we're seeing with James Lindsay, the things he's calling out and exposing with continued success, his growing prominence, calling out the groomer phenomenon. And I think Elon Musk buying Twitter, it's kind of like it's never been better, to be completely honest.
It's true. That didn't have to happen.
Yeah.
And if he didn't do that, we never would have got the Twitter files, right? And who knows what the coming installments will be. And look, I have tremendous faith in the inherent goodness and I guess just commonsensical nature of the American people and most people worldwide. And we have a political establishment, I think, left and right, that is corrupt and doesn't work. And those things don't go together. So how long is the pendulum? I don't know. Hopefully things don't have to get that much worse before they get better. But I do think, they'll get better. And we've seen this ebb and flow in human history, right? But we got to work hard to tighten up that, what's the technical term for the length of a pendulum?
I don't know.
Whatever it is. Let's make it short.
But the diameter?
But I think it is getting better. I think we're on the backswing. It's starting to come back.
I hope so.
I think with conservatives starting to recognize the power of ballot harvesting and ballot chasing, I think 2024 is going to be a game changer. It's like you were saying. It's about raw numbers. They're going after the raw numbers. It's not about the messaging. For Democrats, it's about the raw numbers. For Republicans, it's going to be both. Because Republicans, a lot of the Republican voters are higher information voters than Democrats. That's why Democrats want 16-year-old voters. They want low information.
Well, Democrats will vote for John Fetterman. Whereas some of our voters, God bless them, and we got to work hard to persuade them. But some of them is like, well, I read some bad things about Blake, or I saw this TV commercial.
You got to
I'm
go
not
after
going
the
to vote
low
for that. And it's like, well, I appreciate the individuality in our party, and we have a lot more diversity in our party, actually, in terms of diversity of thought. But the Democrats will vote for Fetterman or anything, a rock. It's just got a D next to its name, and that's a challenge that we have to overcome.
But I think the Republicans just need to target those people. These people who are low information voters voting Democrat aren't voting Democrat for any good reason, which means Republicans could win those votes. They just aren't trying.
Show up.
Exactly.
We need to show up.
What do you think about like refocusing a message? We've talked about this before show too, like graphene or some sort of industrialization message of making the United States an industrial superpower.
Just to real quick preface that, Like, I think the point of the conversation is that messaging is immaterial, but again, your thoughts.
I think it matters though, and while we're working hard to go in a legal way, of course, harvest ballots, collect ballots. I think interesting messaging does matter. For one, like, why aren't we focusing more on nuclear power? I only had so many campaign dollars, and we had to talk about border and inflation, and those are the top two issues. But every stump speech, I'd try to find a way to work in nuclear power. It's like, this isn't even new technology. It's like old technology that, for bizarre reasons, countries like Germany have decommissioned, right? We have about 50 nuclear power plants in the United States, nowhere near enough. Most of them are decades old. And so if you care about climate change, if you care about, carbon-free energy generation, why are we not going all in on nuclear? And when I would mention nuclear power, it was actually somewhat of an unexpected applause line in some very right-wing Republican rooms. It's like, obviously not going to get rid of oil and gas. We need to be drilling. We need to be fracking. It's like all of the above kind of approach is appropriate for the next few decades. But man, 50 years from now, 80% of our power should be generated from nukes.
At least if the path we're going, we'll probably have new technology like vacuum, vibrational things, and fusion power, which is they call it nuclear. It's a completely different technology than fission. So you can't really call them both nuclear. It's a misnomer.
We got to lean into innovation. Yeah, is the broader point. It's like, we should be agnostic about what it is, but like, what it isn't is, some dumb subsidy for some wind thing that is not even going to work.
I think what's happening, you remember in Texas 2 years ago, or was it last year, the deep freeze that ruined all these wind power, these windmills, or whatever they're called, wind generators. And we're headed in like a few days for another deep freeze in Texas, I'm told. This is terrifying. People died. People froze to death in their houses because they had shut down coal plants leading up to this. And I think that's why people are like, yes, nuclear, yes, heat, yes, because it gets cold. If it goes down to 45 degrees in your house, nothing really matters other than some heat.
That's right. I think Americans would be here for whether it's a new party, if you could somehow bootstrap that into existence, or a Republican Party that was like, hey, we're the party of competence, we're the party of technology, we're the party of families, we're the party of sane trade deals, and the party that doesn't want to get into wars halfway around the world. I think people would be into that.
I think it's like we need charisma too. Like, I used to think, I was telling you earlier, like, I was like, or I didn't actually mention, you were saying you were a Republican when we were younger. I was like a Democrat when I was younger. I went after charisma. I was always drawn to like Bill Clinton because he was
funny.
Like
Howard Dean?
No. Was that the guy that was like,
Bill Clinton, fair point.
Yeah, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama.
Charismatic.
I like the dudes that could make you feel good. And it's only later I'm realizing, like, I've been snowed this whole time, man. They were making me feel good to get me to pay my dollar. So, but I do think we need to introduce charisma. But the thing is, like, Luke, you were saying, don't vote for political parties. I don't care about the party. I thought in 2007, we don't need parties anymore, man. We just need someone that's willing to step up and do the work.
You're right, but that I don't think takes into consideration the political reality. That there are a lot of people who won't vote outside of the two-party system out of fear of not winning, and that has a substantial impact. The Libertarian Party does a great job of getting a lot of people of principle to vote for the Libertarian Party, but they don't move the needle.
What do you think? Did you just do it enough? And then how did Abe Lincoln win?
Look, the MAGA party is not the same as the Republicans, and that's why there's a Republican civil war, at least what the media calls it. The reason why I think the establishment didn't support you is because you're, Blake, you're more libertarian. You're outside the Republican Party in a literal, in a intangible sense. Like, quite literally, you're a Republican. But as far as the establishment Republicans are concerned, the MAGA Republicans are a different party, and they're an insurgent group coming in.
That's right. And we're going to get an interesting, case study here. Kyrsten Sinema, right, the other Democrat senator from Arizona, just announced, I think, a week or two ago, she's going to be an independent.
Oh, yeah.
I think probably because she read the polls and realized with her voting record, it'd be impossible for her to win a Democratic primary. So now she's daring the Democrat establishment to run a Dem against her.
I thought that was awesome.
Split the race into a three-way race, which I actually think would favor a Republican. So we'll see how it shakes out. But can a independent actually make a real go of it, right? I mean, Bernie Sanders caucuses with the Democrats, but of course, technically he's an independent. The Dems are sort of okay.
She forced the Democrats to keep her on as their candidate. When Sinema said she was an independent, they immediately knew they could not run anyone else, and they can't primary her. They have no choice but to get behind her.
Well, we'll see if they have that kind of discipline. I think Schumer wants the situation you outlined, but this other Congressman Ruben Gallego, sort of communist guy from Phoenix, he really wants to get in, and I hope he does, right? And grab the popcorn.
Are you gonna run again?
If Gallego gets in, then that gives me a lot to think about. Because in the three-way race, I will win, or I would beat Gallego one-on-one.
When would that be? Like 4 years or what?
No, 2024.
2024.
Yeah, wow. Cinema's up in 2024.
And so you could run
the Dems
for her
might. Yeah, but the Dems might actually have enough discipline to keep a Dem out.
I think you should run anyway.
Hey, there you go. She's tough to beat. She's tough to beat. Mark Kelly was tough to beat, though.
Right.
And I think, some people say, oh, Blake, you lost by 5. It's like Oz lost by 5 in Pennsylvania, and he had a way worse opponent and $30 million from Mitch McConnell, right? So I think in a different year with and look, I made some mistakes, too. Like, I didn't run a perfect campaign, and I've been self-critical about that. And next time I do it, I will tell you this. I will be better, and I will win.
I live in West Virginia. I instantly like Sinema more than Manchin. Because she comes out as an independent, and Manchin is still playing this ridiculous game of being a Democrat in literal MAGA country.
What's going to happen there? I feel like he's underwater, right? I think is he just going to switch?
I think he's going to switch
to being a Republican.
He was asked, and he said, something like, "We'll wait till later to talk about it," or something like that, which made everyone immediately be like, "Okay, Manchin's going to switch." I think West Virginia is like 86% Trump supporting.
Yeah, every county I think in 2020 voted for Trump.
Absurdly high. Where I live in West Virginia, it's right-wing nut jobs who believe every single conspiracy theory you can think of. I mean, these are people who are Trump, hands down. And then you say Manchin, and they go, ugh, like he's supposed to be on our side. And it's not even about the name of the party. They feel like he's not representing them properly.
Nut job's a term of endearment, by the way.
It is, yeah. Like when you go to West Virginia and you say, I love living on a mountain full of right-wing nut jobs, they all laugh and smile. Because it's like, it's taking the word back. You know what I mean?
They say if you're sane in an insane world, you look insane. You look like a nut job.
We had a break-in recently. I think it was targeted. But I tweeted, I was like, you got to be insane to break into a house in West Virginia, especially if it's like a political thing. And I was like, just imagine breaking into a house and there's some right-wing nut job with a Barrett M82 pointed at you yelling, yeehaw. And like all the people out here are laughing at the idea because they love it. They love it. They're like, that's us. Don't come a knocking if you don't want to see what's on the other side.
Blake, do you think the solution to, I don't know, what is your end goal really with the United States or in your lifetime? How would you like to see the United States develop?
I think one litmus test for are we on the right track is politics boring again? Like I think politics should be boring. It shouldn't be what people are investing all their time and emotional energy into. I would like campaign on the slogan. To me, it's more than a slogan, but it is, I think, a good political slogan. In America, you should be able to raise a family on one single income. I think if we got back to an economy where you could actually do that, maybe it's really hard in a globalizing world. But man, if you could if young people had economic opportunity and were, on net choosing to get married and have kids in their 20s and were able to buy and afford homes and people didn't have to be obsessed with politics, right? We weren't at each other's throats all the time. I think that would be really healthy.
Do you see politics is pop culture right now?
Yeah, that's really messed up.
Yeah,
it's really messed up.
It was what was his name? Schumer was dancing with Stephen Colbert. Did you see that video?
Unfortunately, I did see that. I'd forgotten about it.
You said earlier, like it's a worldwide movement. I think you mentioned that earlier, but I sense like worldwide that humans want freedom. The First Amendment of the United States Constitution is like one of the most inspirational governmental actions ever taken on Earth. And I feel like we have so many people from Australia that watch the show, and England, and all these great countries that unfortunately can get arrested for standing outside of someone's house. And I hope that maybe I kind of see like a United States of Earth where we have like state rights still, but we just have like a form of kind of a sort of unified government. I don't know if that's too pie in the sky.
So you're a globalist?
In a way. I mean, I think inevitably we're globalizing. I just want it to be done right. I want it to be done so that we maintain our Bill of Rights.
Like a republic where the United States has sovereign borders where we control our own government, but there is some kind of legislative system externally that can't interfere internally with the nation, but can help prevent wars. Or something
and even Ohio still has its sovereign borders, and every state still has its own rights. Like Alberta, for instance, I think there's an Alberta secession movement right now. Alberta becomes a state of the United States of Earth, and then we just keep growing from there.
And then everyone lives under the Constitution?
Yeah, but the Constitution's malleable, but yes. Yeah, I think the Bill of Rights for sure.
Maybe, I think it's a good idea. Maybe in order to get to that point, some people will have to be made to understand. So perhaps we could like put together a group of people with perhaps weapons that could go in and tell these people they now live under our way of life. And we would call it like a liberation, we would send out liberation forces to other.
Sounds horribly communist.
That's it. But this is just, it all goes back to Woodrow Wilson, right? The League of Nations. And,
Exactly.
And now it's the UN. And let's just have a layer on top that will help it. And it's like, well, the danger is that, you know, that layer becomes incredibly bureaucratic and powerful, and it gets more power for itself. And pretty soon, I think this is where the century is trending. If we don't resist it, you get a one world totalitarian government.
I like
right?
the idea of like
China wants to build its version, and China wants everyone to be Chinese in 100 years. And we actually, we've never figured out a way to do that in a safe way. And I think we should look towards decentralization.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.